Hello, hello. It's been a while. For my subscribers, it is so nice to see you. Thank you for coming back to my channel. And for anybody that is new here, my name is Lisa. I am an esthetician and a Seint makeup affiliate. I think it's time for me to do an updated makeup routine, what I have been doing. And you guys know that I love the no makeup routine, the Demi method as well. There are a couple of things that I wanted to show you that I changed in my routine that I'm tweaking all the time. I'm sure you guys are too. So specifically this video though, I am speaking to a current customer that needs help with her under eyes. And you guys know I'm all about the under eyes, and that is my main problem area. So I'm going to specifically be concentrating on that a lot. But for the most part, it's for the overall look, what I have been doing. Now, the number one thing that I always do under my eyes especially is put on an under eye balm. Now, Seint has one, which I think is great because these are all magnetized. For anybody that is new here that doesn't know what this is, it's a one compact makeup system. And we have all different types of palettes. And this particular one has a bottom layer that comes out. I put my eyeshadows under here, but it's cream makeup, very pigmented, but you could adjust your finish from light coverage all the way up to full coverage, and it looks like skin. And the brushes have a lot to do with it too, in terms of how to apply it. And yeah, but anyway, back to the balm. Especially for mature skin, we need hydration, and something creamy, I feel, is the best. You know, not necessarily just a run-of-the-mill eye cream that's water-based. We need something that has slip that also fills in any crepiness. So the number one thing that I do before I do my under eyes is that. And this particular ingredient that is in here, there's also squalane in here, which is a wonderful moisturizing ingredient for the skin, and you could put this anywhere you have dryness. This is much more important for me in the winter time when I have dry patches, but some people have them all the time. So you could put this anywhere, and it is not pore clogging either, because the ingredients of this makeup, it's an occlusive agent. It stays on top of the skin, does not sink into the pores, which has also been very good for my acne prone skin. Thankfully, this makeup has been a godsend, and I haven't had any issues at all. In the summertime though, even when I'm not wearing makeup, I do end up getting, I'm 51. I just turned 51 and I'm still getting pimples. It always happens seasonally for me now, where for work I don't wear makeup, and I still get these just from, you know, like sweating and what have you. So irritating, but this makeup is also really good at covering them naturally without causing any texture on the skin. So my next step is to do kind of like an underpainting technique, and this is the no makeup look. And I really love to use the shape brush for this. We have all different types of brushes depending on the finish that you're looking for. This particular brush I like because it's movable and it's a little bit more wispy. So you can place your makeup on with this, and I'll show you two different things that I've been doing, because I started doing this technique where I will place my makeup on with a smaller brush. This is our Smudge Brush. Could also be used for eyeshadow, could be used for concealer, and they're all multi-purpose. But let me show you two different things. And specifically, my customer was asking about this because she was having an issue with contour and where to put it. You don't have to use contour the traditional way, which is what I love about this makeup. Because it's movable and it's cream, you could even use it like a bronzer, and it'll be like a contour / bronzer. So this is my shade that I'm going to use. These are all customizable. All of my information is down below, by the way. If you wanted to match this makeup, you'll find my link tree, and then I have like a color match quiz in there, and just, you know, follow the directions on there, and I will get that message, and I will help you find the shades that are right for you. So you see how that puts it on so light, and you never want to overload your brushes. You just tap into this makeup. These tins look small, but they last a long time, because you see I barely have to touch it in order to get the makeup. So for this particular customer, her shade that she got, which was Cedar, which is a beautiful contour shade, but you see how little I just put this on with this brush, and I have a little bit of color, but it's like barely there. Also, the contours are foundational coverage. That's why we call this 3D foundation. I have multiple palettes, but you don't have to have multiple palettes. I just love the palettes, so I always get a bunch of palettes. But we have different sizes. This is a 12, where you could put 12 of the bigger sizes, bigger tins, like this. This is all blush that I have here. On the top, I don't have anything on this one, but you could put your foundation, highlighter. We call them Illuminators. We have a bigger palette. This one is an 18, and I just love the pattern. So I have a bunch of these palettes, and I have eyeshadows on the bottom. I put the powders on the bottom, and they're magnetized. You can put whatever you want in here. These are Makeup Geek for my makeup enthusiasts. If you know Marlene Estelle, Makeup Geek I've had these shadows for like a long time. She had a great line, which is now unfortunately discontinued, but you can put anything magnetized in these palettes, which is great. So if you have any magnetized tins, you could also use these palettes for that. You can put them any way you want. So as I was saying, the contours are foundational coverage. And of course the foundation is. We call them highlights. And that is here. I'm going to put that on after this. That one. That's my highlight. So these are other contour shades that I use too. We have a whole array. But like I said, I will help you pick the shade that is correct for you. But when I put this on, I don't have to put foundation underneath because this is foundational coverage. Especially if you have any hyperpigmentation or anything like that. This really helps to cover that without having to put a whole layer of foundation on and then keep layering products on top, causing unnecessary texture, especially for more maturing skin. So going back, again, for my customer that is having an issue because she's not very used to wearing contour, you could put this on so light. And then this is just for definition on the jawline. And you could see, I mean, you could only do so much, but it helps, right? We get like these, we're trying to create these angles and these shadows. And you see it's seamless. It's not showing like a line of demarcation. We do not want that. And then this is a very soft application. But let me show you, also, this is another thing that you could do with the contour that you're trying to figure out how to use. You could use a smudge brush and place it where you want. I've been really liking this technique. It's a little more concentrated than the no makeup, and this will actually show you how this is foundational coverage. You saw I had a red mark right there, and you could put this, I'm using it more like a bronzer. Contour is usually under the cheekbone, but this, look, I have another red spot right here too. My skin is so sensitive, especially when, you know, in the warmer months. And you could put this wherever. Sometimes I'll put this across the bridge of my nose just to give that a little bit more color. And on the forehead, I don't really do too much of this. I just do it just to kind of make it more of a seamless color transition. Some people actually shape their forehead if they feel that they have a larger forehead. You could do that, but I just kind of do it just for continuity, just to make this all warm. And then on the bottom here, so you could just use this to place your makeup. And before I blend it, you could see what that does. We're trying to give the illusion that we have a sharper jawline. And then you grab your blending brush and you could just stipple. You could even do this. You don't want to do too much of the sweeping because it'll remove some, but cream makeup is so forgiving that if you do put too much, it's very easy to blend it away. But if you want to keep it at that intensity, you blend it by tapping like this. And then on the bottom here, this I always blend because I want to make sure that there's no line. So that's the other technique that you could use. We'll worry about that afterwards. Okay, so that is like kind of like an underpainting technique, and it's very subtle because I'm all about the no makeup. Okay, so the first thing that we do is we shape our face. This is like the Demi method. All right, now in terms of the foundation, which is from my highlight, this I'm going to put on very lightly, almost like a tinted moisturizer finish. Depending on the brush that you use, this is my other absolute favorite brush when I want fuller coverage. This is called the detail brush. This is very good to go like around the eyes. And then this is really great if you wanted to do a chiseled contour. Some people like to contour their nose, the jawline, but this broom flat side is great for placing foundation. Now let me show you the difference. I also love that it fits like right in the tin too. And then all you do is just tap. And you see how I have a little bit of this foundation on here? And I'm going to show you on this side. I always place it on the area where there is no movement, where there's going to be wrinkling. And then I migrate it over around the contour that I put on. like so. You see how that smoothed out my complexion. I hope the lighting is okay in here that you guys could see. And then on the other side, same thing. And again, this is my foundation shade. I will help you pick out your custom shades. And all the directions are on my color match quiz that you will find linked in the description below on my link tree. And then there's still makeup. You saw how little I put on, but you see like how much that smooths out my complexion. And then on the nose, everybody is different with the way that they need to put on their makeup, like what, you know, what kind of coverage they need and where. But my suggestion is always to place the initial foundation on the area where you're not going to be crinkling, like around the eyes, all of that. We'll get to the eyes in a second because those are like special. I use the cream correctors, you know, for the under eye, which I love. Okay. And then that balm that I put underneath also helps to spread the makeup even more and to keep everything moist and supple. Now, you may want a little bit more of color or bronzer or contour, because I like to use these as a bronzer, like I said, and they're a little bit cooler. They're not as warm, which for my skin tone works. Again, I'm going back into my contour shade. These are more dense, and I could just make that a little bit deeper. And you see how like soft that is. Again, this is like foundational coverage. Now we're going to go to the under eyes. For the Demi method, what we do first is we shape the face, even out the skin. And that was the foundation portion that I just did around where the contour was. You see I have a little bit of color on my cheeks now. And now I'm going to do the under eyes. Now for the under eyes, we have these Demi correctors, and these are also part of the shade match that I do for you. We also have these cute little palettes that you could put 1 tin, 2 tins. It's fantastic. And you could throw these in your purse if you need, you know, quick touch-ups throughout the day, but these usually stay in place as long as you're not rubbing all over your skin. Now, for this particular customer, I had her pick up the Bright brush, which is my favorite. One of my favorites. I have 2 that are my favorites, Bright and the Spot brush. But for her, I had her pick up the Bright. And these are my particular shades that I use, that I need for my under eyes to cancel out the blues. This is all color theory. So orange is the opposite on the color wheel of blue. And I am just going to give her some tips, and you, of how to do this to keep the application seamless. And so it'll stay put all day and won't be all crepey, especially with traditional concealers. Traditional concealers get very crepey because they're water-based. Okay, so with this, again, same principle applies. You barely have to tap into these to get some on the bristles, you see? You just want this makeup, the cream corrector, to just be floating on top of the bristles like that. And then you apply it. It almost is like the concept of like a magic eraser. You'll see what I mean. So you see all of this blue that I have here? And then you just kind of tap and you're sweeping it. And you see how that's dulling that down? You can grab a little more. And I'm trying to cancel out that blue. And then underneath a little bit more here. So a lot of times what ends up happening with concealer, people feel like they need to do their whole under eye, and that just adds to cakiness and adds to the texture, and then it just ends up looking even more awful. But you see how like that's canceling that out, that blue? Like what a difference that made. Obviously, there's certain things that we will never be able to fix, like these dents, you know, like the eye bag, but you can minimize the appearance. And you see like how that made such a big difference there. Then with the other side, you can tap it and it feathers it out even more in order to seamlessly blend it into the skin around. Now here, I have this area that is particularly blue, and my customer actually has an area that is very concentrated here. So for you, this is what I wanted to show you. You tap into your shade with the Bright brush, the end, the smaller end, and you're going to go only touch the area that is very dark. And then with the other side, you tap that out. You don't want to rub too hard because then you're going to remove the material. And again, unfortunately, I can't do anything about the dent, but it does look a little bit better if you could see the difference. You see how it's very, very dark here, and this is a little bit lighter. Now, the other thing that I like to do to try to camouflage this dent as much as possible when I'm looking straight on at someone, I'll use a lighter cream corrector. I have a little towel right here because usually with this, what you could do is just remove any of the excess and it comes right off, and you're able to use your brush right away again. This is a lighter shade. And for this, I usually go right under the dent and a little bit into it. In order to try to give the illusion that it's popping out. Because anything light brings forward, anything dark acts like a shadow and sinks it in. You know, like how we want to pop out a cheekbone, we'll put a shadow here. So you see, that looks better. Again, I'm never going to be able to get rid of the dent completely, but it looks way better than this side. Now, my outer corners are also darker. Here, I'm not really going to do anything to at all. I'm going to put the concentration here, you see, and this also gives you an eye lift. And then another thing that I like to do with these, my eyelids, I'm not going to put highlighter on them because again, sometimes I do very, very light application of the foundation, and that works. As long as you don't put too much, you won't get any creasing on the lid. And the same thing with this. Now with this technique, I'm going to use the fluffy side, and you'll see it'll just cancel out all of the blues that I have up here from my veins, but it will also still look like my skin. This is totally the no makeup. So you can see the difference where it still looks like my skin. Do you see how muted that is? And there's going to be no texture here because we're working with color theory and we're putting on thin veils of product. This is not like your traditional makeup. I've heard a lot of people be like, oh, well, this Seint makeup is like any other color corrector that you get on the market. It's not, because it doesn't behave the same way. And also the colors are way different. We have more variety in the color and very slight variation within them. So that's why it works so well, and then it ends up looking like skin, and you don't have to put foundation on top of the corrector. You just leave it like this. All right, so now let's do the other eye. I'll do the same exact thing. One eye is a little bit worse. I think it's this one that's a little worse. Now you see it, like if you really, really look, obviously there's going to be a difference in color, but you see how much more muted it is from how it is before I put on the Demi. Actually, now they call them, I don't even know if they call them Demi anymore, Seint. They used to call them Demi correctors, and now I think they call them cream color correctors, but same product. And they're in these half tins. Okay. There. And then outer corner. And you saw I didn't put anything here because I don't need to. That only would add texture. There we go. Everybody's different though. Some people like to put a little bit of a lighter color to sweep across it, and I'll show you that too. Okay, you see how the cream corrector took away that super dark dent, but the dent's still going to be there, unfortunately. Unless I had surgery, that's not going to go anywhere. And now the top, you see how fast this is too. This is going faster than when I was explaining this side. Once you know your colors and you know exactly where to put them, this takes minutes. The whole face will take minutes, which is another thing that I like about this makeup system. There, and that just muted it a little bit, but it still looks like my skin. If you want something a little bit brighter, you could take the lighter shade. Oh, wait a minute. I have to do underneath like I did on the other side. This is the lighter shade. I got like, for my glasses, I got like these tiny little, from the warmth, you know, the humidity. And I got to wait for those to go away. I always get like these little, it's almost like a skin reaction to my glasses being on the bridge of my nose. There we go. And you see how much brighter it looks And when I look straight on, now it's more minimized. I mean, I love this stuff. And it doesn't look like water-based concealer. And then with the fluffy side, if you want to do a little bit more brightening, you could go a tiny bit here, but like barely. I'm actually going to knock some off of my brush. I deposited some on my skin because I don't want too much on it. That's it. Now to put color back in to the cheeks, I am going to use, let's see, I have my blushes. I have some blushes here. Yeah. Now this particular customer has the old Demi, it was called Red Orange 5, RO5. This is a lip and cheek. These are our blushes. We call them lip and cheeks because obviously you can wear them on your lips too. And this super pink, it looks like a very, very bright, shocking pink. But if you put that on with the correct brush, you don't put it on with something super dense, it will be like a wash of color that looks very, very pretty. Tap, and you'll see. Let me get some on here. You see the little whisper pink there? And then I'll just put it on top of my cheeks. And this is exactly how you could use your RO5. And you see how it just gives me the slightest wash of color? And you could build it up, of course. You could make it like totally 80s blush application if you really wanted to. And you see how light that is? And I personally like to go like by the sides of my eyes too, because I feel like it even camouflages that dent on me a little bit more. I'll help you with like makeup application too, because everybody is different with how they need to do their placement. See? Super natural, but you could tell by, you know, in the beginning when I came on here how I didn't have any dimension to my face, but I wanted a no makeup Demi method is what we used to call this, because it was the Demi color correctors that we used to use. But with our lip and cheeks, you could still use as a Demi method, and it's all about the brush in terms of application. I'll also be able to recommend a brush for you depending on what kind of finish you want as well. And let's see what else. Oh, if you wanted to do a little bit more color correction, if you have like melasma or something popping out, the thing about the Demi method is you color correct after you put on your color. So anything that pops out, and it seems really, really strange concept, I'm going to use my bright brush again, and I'm going to go into this color, and I'm just going to tap it on that red, and then you'll see it disappear. Let me use my mirror so I can see a little bit closer, because it's hard for me to see in the viewfinder. Yeah. And it just kind of looks like the blush. I have a tiny spot right here. I might not get too crazy about that, but let's see. And it seems strange because you can set this with the powder. I like the dewy finish, but you can set with a powder if you wanted to. Very, very light, thin veil, which we also have. I'll show you that next time. But you see how like that disappeared and it doesn't look crazy. It just blends, it ends up looking like skin. And let me do one more. You don't want to rub because obviously that would take away. Yeah, there you go. See? So I could get the color back. And another thing that I absolutely love too is mixing the blush, the lip and cheek colors with our highlighters, which we call illuminators, and it's almost like a blush topper. So I have this one that's a little bit more gold. More on these a little bit later. In my next video, I'll talk about this particular illuminator because now Seint is going to have double tins. And I placed my order. It's coming on Monday, and there's certain products that they have as a bigger square, which I'm so excited about, like the bronzer. You see? Now that's the illuminator. And you can see like how subtle that is. See? That's it. It just gives a little bit of sheen. And that's my no makeup look that I have been doing that I absolutely love. And to my customer, you know, so this is another thing too, because whenever, if you get a color match from me and you purchase makeup, I'm also going to tailor how I recommend you put on these products and what your coverage issues are, whether it's melasma, sunspots, dark circles. Dark circles, I'm all about the dark circles because that's my issue. And I could talk about that all day, every day. yeah, so basically just take a look at my info down below, contact me, I'll get the email, and we'll be able to talk about, there's a spot in the questionnaire where you could actually write what your issues are. So right off the bat. And then I have a text service number that I like to text. We could text like back and forth, or you could use email if you like to communicate email. That's fine. I can always show you a physical example like I did right now with my new customer. So thank you guys so much for watching. You'll be seeing more of me, you know, so there's, I took a little bit of a hiatus just because life, I'm sure you guys have been going through it too. Busyness and what have you. Summer has been really busy, all good things, thank God. And, you know, but life happens, and yeah, we get sidetracked. But this whole time, I'm still using Seint, and I still absolutely love it. And I am here to help you guys with your makeup needs as well. So I will talk to you all later.